to Hot Topics, and this week Andy and I are going to be talking about the launch of the EYC Academy and Therapy Live. So Andy, quite a busy week last week.
Phil, it was chaos on it. No, it's brilliant, isn't it?
It was organized
chaos. That's it. You know, when we're going to talk about our own philosophies at EYC now, you know, we had a vision that we wanted to provide content that was helpful to get therapy businesses to grow and develop with good content that helps them develop that, right? And so we had this idea, didn't we, about how can we put that all together? It was in the midst.
It was in the throes of last year's Therapy Live, actually, wasn't it?
Because
we had such an engagement and involvement. We suddenly thought, how can we make our content more accessible to a wider audience? Yeah, definitely.
And that was the vision, wasn't it? That we wanted to help as many people as we could, and we knew that the one-to-one work that we were doing, we couldn't reach everybody. So the idea of the academy, so to watch it go live on Friday after blood, sweat, tears, effort from not just us, but all the people behind the scenes who've been absolutely grafting to make sure it was ready for that. It was brilliant.
It was a moment, and actually delivered on time as well, which
and delivered on time. Yeah,
at the end of the day.
It. Yeah, you know, and I think so again, it just shows, doesn't it, when you take the time, effort, and energy to really take that time to set that vision and to pan it out in the way that it needs to be. If you do it well and write a good plan and a good strategy, you can achieve what you want to achieve. And I think now that we've got the academy and we can, you know, be sharing all the stuff that we do and the partners that we bring in to share the good content, I think the world's looking really exciting. And I just really hope that all the people that are out there who've got their therapy businesses do take some time to check us out. And we can share more, can't we? You know, that's
the plan is to the site will continue to grow in terms of its content. And the good news is you don't just have to watch and listen to Andy and I talking about all we know about business. We've got a select but expert group of professionals who support us in each of the stages of our development program for business owners, and that's quite refreshing. And I mean, we're constant learners, you and I. So not only are we bringing the content that we already have and the relationships that we already have, but the network of affiliates that we're growing, who we know are really, really good at what they do, kind of bring an extra dimension to supporting therapy business owners to be at their best more of the time.
I think it's really important that we have it like that, you know, and the content is brought by industry experts that understand the industry, you know. So, you know, as much as me and you do know some good employment law, you probably a little bit more than me. I think the fact that the advice comes from an employment lawyer, it's more reassuring to.
It is, and I think the other thing when you talk about industry experts bringing their knowledge and expertise to the therapy world, it's because one of the things that Andy and I were conscious of at the start was that we wanted to take time out with each of these individuals to give them a bit of context and to help them understand the world of clinicians and therapy businesses, so that they could understand that whilst in my language, I would say that that most therapy businesses are small businesses, because there are millions of small businesses out there. They all fit into different niche markets. So it's really important to understand the environment and the niche market in which therapy business owners are operating, so that when you bring that expertise to the table, it kind of feels right, it fits the context. And that's what we're endeavoring to do with each of the relationships that we've developed so far, and will continue to build with experts that will bring great content to the EYC Academy.
And also people that can make it nice and simple. You know, that's the key, isn't it? You know, the last thing we want is you to sit there for 20 minutes listening to some stuff and you go, right, absolutely no clearer what I'm supposed to do with this. So, you know, the big key elements of everything that hopefully by the time you've watched some of the content on a certain topic, you'll be a lot clearer over how that applies in your world. So that's the key content, isn't it, that we want to be kind of really delivering.
Yeah, and we're certainly we're getting some great feedback already from users of the Academy, and those have been testing it for us. We think we've got the content seems to feel right. So let's see what happens. We know that Therapy Live, last Friday, which we were very proud to be partners at this year. It kicks off on Friday, and you not only were you in the exhibition Zoom room with me for 10 hours, but you also popped out for a couple of hours were involved in a couple of great presentations. So the first one of those, Andy, was around I can't exactly remember
what everybody needs to know about an MSK private practice
in 30 minutes.
Well, I renamed it to In 30 Minutes on the basis of going, oh my gosh, we're building a whole learning academy, which is going to have, you know, eventually thousands of hours of content, which is everything you need to know about an MSK private practice. So to try and do it in 30 minutes, it was nice, right?
And I was listening. I should say I was listening in from afar. So whilst I couldn't see you, I was listening in and managing the Zoom room at the same time. And it seemed to go down really well as a presentation. And we got some great questions coming out of it, that many of which didn't actually get answered, did they, on the day, because there were too many of them.
Well, the good news is what we will be. So, you know, as we've got those questions now, haven't we, Phil? So we will be going through and making sure those of the asked questions, we're either reaching out and answering them for you, or we'll be answering as part of our Hot Topics podcast moving forward. So don't worry if you did ask a question and you did see us live. So thank you for coming, and thank you for turning up and giving half an hour of your time, valuable time, to listen to me. It was great. You know me, and if anyone's listening to this or know me before, I love sharing. It's, you know, and trying to help and be helpful and useful. And the opportunity for us to share what we've worked really, really hard and we've discussed for hours and days about what are the essential components of a therapy business. You know, and we've put a lot of time and effort in to really narrow down what are the key components. So then to be able to stand there and share what I thought the 6 main areas that people can spend the time, effort, and energy on was cool. You know, I like standing in front and sharing people, especially because I know the impact. You know, we're very fortunate that we get to see the other side of the impact of doing this well in the business, because we work with, you know, one-to-one with businesses. So we get to see the financial, the emotional, and all the other stuff that goes with that, the rewards. So no, it was good. It was good to be back presenting. Again, slightly different, presenting for my office and not from the stage, but I'm adapting well now.
I think
really
nice.
Used
to it, haven't we?
Really good. And then we had a good discussion with Obi Hassan and Joe Turner over financial health, which was a really good discussion. I think it was really good. And I think bringing the 3 different elements that we all brought to the panel, certainly shone a lot of different ideas and thoughts around the topic of financial health. I think we all came across it slightly different, but what was lovely is we all came together and agreed that actually there were the key 3 components that you needed to have. You know, you needed to understand your drivers and your KPIs, as I would call them, in the kind of present. You need to be in, what does that do to help move your model forward, and how to drive your business forward based on the things, and how can you use a forecasting idea, which Obi brought. And again, Joe is fantastic. And if you've not checked out Mehab and Joe's podcast, You Matter, then definitely check it out. And again, looking at the individual and the business owner and where they sit in the world, you know, which is something that really crosses our paths a lot. That's something we're very passionate about as well. So we definitely resonate with that. So yeah, listen, any opportunity we get to share stuff in front of loads of people. I think there was only 20,000 people there, wasn't there, Phil? So, you know, it wasn't
and you were talking about Mehab there. I'll just remind you, and you might want to tell our listeners a bit of the story you were telling me this morning, actually, about autoimmune impacts with a client you've been talking to. Now, obviously, you're not going to talk to me about the clients on air, but I thought that potentially they kind of link back into Joe's work and around how the world of work can actually affect you as an individual, and that was quite enlightening for me and makes you think, I suppose, as a business owner, are you taking care of your colleagues so that they don't fall into the same trap? So you might want to disappear off for a second into MSK clinical world and just share what I'm babbling on about.
Yeah, no, we were talking today about the links between anxiety, stress, and autoimmune, which I'm not an expert in. Let's put this out for the listeners. I'm more of an MSK practitioner, but it was definitely me and Phil having a conversation off air about this and the links to it. And I certainly, you know, but then we were talking about also is people not able to identify when they're in a stress state, you know, because you're so familiar with that level of stress and that actually you don't know it. And sometimes it does take somebody else to point that out to you, doesn't it? And that's the conversation we were talking about.
Yeah, and I think there's two elements from me as the lay person in the room, as it were. One is I'm certainly aware in the past of having worked in very what I now understand to be stressful environments, even though I actually didn't feel the stress in the moment, because a bit like the boiling frog, you know, you get used to the climate, the environment you're working in. But actually, when you stop or you change your habit, you kind of realize what kind of impact that's having on you as a human being. But I was completely unaware that actually, I think you were talking about lower back pain as one of the potentials. And you kind of think, what, you mean you can get lower back pain as a consequence of working, you know, being stressed at work, you know? And there'll be many people out there, they're unaware of it. And I guess the lesson for me isn't the clinical lesson. It's actually, well, hang on a minute. If you're actually giving good advice and good support to people in your treatment room, then how many of them are actually familiar with the fact that because they might be holding down a really stressful job, you know, the cause of their lower back pain might not be the chair they're sitting in or their lack of physical movement. It could actually be you know, almost like a neuro condition, I guess. It's kind of generated as a consequence of something that you would, you know, the average person in the street wouldn't even think about as a potential cause.
No, certainly. But I'd hope most of our listeners and practitioners would make those links and assumptions, and I would, you know, and that's the good thing with things like Therapy Live, isn't it? That where with the amount of clinical work and content there is now, that you know, those things are being highlighted to practitioners if they take the time to explore them, really. So no, it was a good event, good day, long day. Like you say, we were there from
8 o'clock.
We were clocked in before 8, didn't we? And then we kind of clocked out at 5:30. But it was nice. We had some returning visitors to our Zoom room who were
that was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was. I was find it fantastic when people come back and share the stories of how the support we've given them over time has changed their outlook on life, perhaps changed the success of their business, which is the reason that you and I are mainly involved in this process, as actually to grow people's potential, make them more aware. But it's fantastic when people come back and say this is actually what's happened as a consequence.
And it's hard when you do kind of distance learning where people are listening to work that we've done, unless they physically tell us. It's hard to see the impact. You know, with the one-to-one clients we do, we get data every month so we can see the impact we're making. So it was really nice to get some, you know, we had some really nice messages from Ollie from Bazarat. We have to give him a shout out after he gave us a lovely shout out.
If you've not seen that on LinkedIn, that was a fantastic bit of support from Ollie, and that's a key announcement for us, I guess, isn't it, as part of our build-up process to go live.
so, so we're looking forward to working with Basrat in helping them support all of the graduates that come out of the university degrees as graduate sports rehabilitators, working with them to help them build the therapy businesses right from the start, and it's going to be we've got some really exciting projects that can't just be announced just yet, some of them, but there's some really nice projects in the pipeline to work with them. So that's going to be, really looking forward to supporting on mine and Phil's mission to help as many therapy business owners as possible make better informed choices and, should we say, move away from the rubbish. I had to be careful to choose my words correctly, that some people market to within the industry or focused especially into the therapy industry that we see an awful lot. So we're looking forward to changing the tide of where the good, well-informed content comes from.
So let's just say if you're a graduate leaving uni thinking that you want to start out in private practice, the place to start is not sales and marketing. In the generation of thousands of leads, there's some precursor work that you might want to consider, and we're happy to have a chat with you and share our thoughts. Sales and marketing plays an important part, and in fact, it's one of our key stages.
It is a key stage,
but it's not our first stage, and certainly social media is full of organizations from all over the globe who are willing to solve your problem by giving you millions of leads in literally hours, and it's probably not where you want to start.
Just in what world is that? Can that be true? And that's the bit, isn't it? The classic things you see is, we'll get you 50 new customers this week. Well, some of the most established teams I know with big organizations can't cope with 50 new customers. So in this industry, it's, so for most people, all they're going to do is end up disappointing. And this is what we're trying to do. There's no point spending loads and loads of money on a process and a system if that's not actually what you need. And so it's really important. And hopefully, Phil, with the work we're doing now on with the Academy, we can educate people better so they can have a giggle and choose to ignore
absolutely
the rubbish.
And then the other thing we've got on our list is Physio Matters, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Signed up partner agreement, which is really good and exciting. We know the work that they do clinical is good to support them as the business arm of that. Then it's a really good partnership. He's all right, Jack.
And we look forward to further growing that relationship and perhaps helping to take on the therapy world in terms of its preconceptions about what good looks like and what kind of roles and what type of clinicians the market needs for the future, and the type of critical skills and the generic skills and the interpersonal and behavioral skills that go to making up a really good clinician.
No, certainly. And I think the alignment of what the Physio Matters team are doing in trying to provide the best clinical content to make clinicians more informed so they make better, like we were discussing before, when low back pain and stress, they can make better, more decisions. So much aligned with us and what we're trying to do so that we can educate as many therapy business owners as well. So they're more informed, so they make, less mistakes, better decisions, and then hopefully in the business more profitable. And they don't get to that point where they're stressed because they've set the business up right that works for them. Having an efficient and effective business can work for you. And it doesn't mean that you have to be always working and be present if you set it up in the right way. And that's what we're trying to achieve with the Academy.
It is. So in this week, post Therapy Live and post our launch, you'll probably see some more social media coming out, but we're now planning in the throes of planning the next 6 months worth of content for the EYC Academy. So that will continue to grow with both content from Andy and myself and from our group of experts that will support us along the way. We're also further developing our foundation program, which will be an action learning set program based around the Elevate program model that we've developed with the 6 stages that Andy talked about when he was talking about in Therapy Live around private practice. And more to come. There'll be some webinars in the offing. So keep an eye out for those. If you're not signed up to the mailing list, then you can grab hold of the mailing list by going to the main website, which is www.elevateyourclinic.com. And depending on when you're listening to this podcast, there's still an offer on to let you have a look at the EYC Academy site for a discounted price. So take a look in the bio or the descriptor that supports the podcast that you're listening to find out more about that.
And please feel free to share this as well. So if there's any of you that this isn't for you, or you're thinking at what stage of your career you're not ready for it, but you know somebody, then please feel free to share it with your colleagues and friends. That would be great. If we can help as many people as possible, it will certainly set out for what we're looking to achieve.
Absolutely.
Right,
so that was wrapped up for this session, Andy, do you think?
I think we should let everybody have a time out. And thanks ever so much for listening.
And we'll talk to you very soon. Until then, take care, Andy.